I was raised in a church-going home. I knew right from wrong. I knew that sex was to be maintained for marriage and marriage was for a lifetime. But it was the height of the sexual revolution. I was young. I was being influenced by the culture, and I was 16 and found myself pregnant. And I kept it hidden for months. I wouldn't tell anyone. I wouldn't tell my parents. I don't know if I thought it was just going to go away. But when I finally told my mother, I think with good intentions, she didn't think that I would be able to put a child up for adoption. She said that it was just a blob of tissue. She thought God would view it as more merciful to not bring an unwanted child into the world. And I agreed that I would have an abortion. I don't know if I was trying to mask what had hurt me, but within a year I was pregnant again. It was not a person in my thinking. I think I still had that, blob of tissue, cells kind of thing in my head. So I had my second abortion. And then I just felt like a total failure. So I thought, this is my life. It's who I am. I was really lost. I allowed men to do unspeakable things to me because I felt worthless. I would be in relationships there would be degrading behavior, mental abuse. That's what I felt I deserved. Then, by God's grace, I went to a church and I accepted Christ as my Savior, and God began changing me. And I just felt clean and pure, like I had never felt before. And then I met someone. And slowly, kind of like the water under the foundation of a house, all those values that the Lord was teaching me, they were beginning to just be eroded away. And then before I knew it, we were sleeping together and I got pregnant. And this time, I didn't ask anyone for advice. I just reacted to the situation and I did what I had done before. And I did it quickly. I lied and told them that I had missed my period sooner than I did, and I went and I had aborted my third child. And then I really felt lost because I knew that the Lord had forgiven me, and I didn't think he would do it again when I knowingly rebelled against him. And so for the next 7 years, maybe, I was involved in terrible things with different men, and by God's grace, he got me between a rock and a hard place. I was diagnosed with epilepsy, and so I couldn't leave my apartment. I wasn't able to drive, and I reached out to a friend of mine who lived up the street from where my apartment was, and she told me that she was attending this church that was literally 1 block over from my house. It was an Assembly of God church, and so I could walk there, so I was able to walk over there, and I just remember walking into that place just a very broken woman. I was devastated, and I remember being at the altar probably every Sunday, probably midweek service too, and saying to Pastor Jim, you ought to just have my name written across the front of this because it's like a parking spot. I'm here every Sunday. But again, nobody knew. I still would not come clean with this, but I quit running from the Lord and I surrendered. And over time, he just began to put me back together, and then ultimately healed me of epilepsy. He brought my husband, Jim, into my life probably maybe 6-8 months after all this. And I had the brakes on. I was petrified. I knew what I was capable. I did not want to find out I was capable of anything further. Then the Lord moved us to North Carolina. And he had been dealing with me about these abortions. They just kept coming up to the surface. And I kind of knew that if I didn't do something, find some kind of help, I was gonna lose my mind. So when he moved us to North Carolina, I thought, well, how cool is that? God, you are so awesome, taking me away from all this. I won't ever have to deal with this again. So we get to North Carolina, and it was a Focus on the Family episode that I had heard where Sidna Massey was sharing her testimony of abortion healing. I knew in my spirit that this is what I needed to do. So I come home and talk to my husband about it, and he agreed. I remember the day of the study, I needed to go that evening, and I remember telling my husband, I think I'm okay. I don't think I'm going to go. He just looked at me with that look that I knew, you're going. And so I went and participated in the study, and I remember coming home each week just, overwhelmed, sitting every night doing homework. And I thought, I want to put as much time and effort as I can into this and give this my all, because I want to be made whole, and I'm never going to be whole if I don't do this. And I remember my husband saying to me, I already see you changing, and I can't wait to see what you look like on the other side of this. He said, you've been like a rosebud that has been wrapped up so tight. And he said, and you're starting to open, and I can't wait to see what you look like on the other side of this. And after 10 weeks, if anybody would have told me the healing that was available, I would have just laughed. Because through that study, God brought about a healing that I didn't understand was even possible, and a freedom that I never imagined. A freedom and an abandon in my relationship with God. That He knows every single thing about me. He knows the darkness of my heart, and He loves me still. Hopefully, no one will ever have to walk that road of healing. If you can get to somebody before they would ever abort. But for those men and women that have aborted, on the other side of it, and they're desperate, they don't even know what they're desperate for. They're just desperate for some kind of hope. And there is hope and healing in Jesus Christ. There is wholeness available on the other side of abortion. Sin is sin. We put degrees on it. We look at abortion as being a greater sin than gossip or slander. We think nothing of talking about our neighbor, behind their back. Jesus, He accepted anyone. The woman caught in the very act of adultery, they didn't drag the man along, but they threw her there, and He didn't condemn her. That story is profound to me because He didn't condemn her. He didn't let any of the men around her condemn her either. He pointed out, if you are without sin, you throw the first stone. And they realized they were in the same predicament. And when He told her, go and sin no more, she got up out of the dirt and she looked at herself differently. She was changed. She knew that because of Him, because of what He did for her. And He told her, go and sin no more. And that's exactly what she did. And it changed her life. I'm that woman. He changed my life.